losing $600 million. Despite earning about $600 million across his career, Mike Tyson turned 36 with only $1,250 left in his bank account. He had started cashing million-dollar checks at 19, and by 24, he was already boxing's biggest draw, a global icon, and one of the highest-paid athletes on the planet. Money poured in from fight purses, casino appearances, endorsements, pay-per-view, and even video games. By the time he hit 36, it was all gone. Bankruptcy hit in 2003. The real question is simple. How does someone make that much and still run out? Printing money. By the late 1980s, Tyson was already making money at a level that had never existed in boxing. In 1988 alone, he earned about $35 million in boxing purses, then stacked millions more from endorsement deals with Pepsi, Eastman Kodak, and Nintendo. A year later, in 1990, Forbes ranked him the highest-paid athlete in the world at $28.6 million. He was 23. The Tyson-Spinks fight shows how big the business had become. Before Tyson even got in the ring, Donald Trump paid a record $11 million site fee just to bring the fight to Trump Plaza in Atlantic City. On fight night, the event was projected to gross about $70 million. Tyson stopped Spinks in 91 seconds and walked away with his biggest purse to date. The money was not limited to American fight nights either. In March 1988, Nippon Television and Dentsu agreed to pay Mike Tyson Inc. $10 million for the Tokyo Dome fight with Tony Tubbs. Tyson ended that fight in the second round. A year later, Toyota paid him more than $1 million for a commercial. Tyson power! Tyson was making money off products too. ESPN reported that Mike Tyson's Punch-Out sold about 2 million units at $39 each right away, and by October 1989, the game had sold about 3 million copies. But Tyson's cut was tiny compared to the business around him. ESPN said he was paid only about $50,000 for a 3-year agreement with no royalties, though Tyson later said he thought the number was closer to $1.2 million. Either way, he later called it a really bad deal. Comeback boom. Tyson spent 1992 to 1995 in prison. When he came out, the money was already lined up. In March 1995, he announced a multi-year deal with Showtime and a 6-fight, 2.5-year contract with MGM Grand. The full package with Don King, Showtime, and MGM Grand was said to be worth $150 million. Tyson also got a huge chunk of that money before he even fought again, with Showtime and MGM giving him about $35 million in signing bonuses and advancing roughly a third of their money up front. The first fight after prison was against Peter McNeely in August 1995. Tyson made $25 million for the night. The fight lasted 89 seconds. It sold about 1.52 million U.S. pay-per-view buys, brought in about $63 million in U.S. pay-per-view revenue, and grossed roughly $96 million worldwide. Tyson had been out of the ring for more than 3 years and walked straight back into one of the biggest nights in boxing. The checks stayed huge after that. Tyson made $10 million for Buster Mathis Jr. in December 1995. 3 months later, he got a record $30 million for the Frank Bruno rematch. By March 1996, after only 3 comeback fights, Tyson had already banked $65 million. The checks kept coming. Tyson got $15 million for Bruce Seldon in September 1996, then about $30 million for the first Evander Holyfield fight later that year. Spending spree. After the comeback money started rolling in again, Tyson didn't hold back. In April 1995, not long after leaving prison, he bought an 11,000 square foot Las Vegas mansion for about $3.7 million. The house was built to resemble a French castle and came with 7 bedrooms, a wine cellar, an exercise room, a tennis court, a swimming pool, and a guest house. A year later, he bought the giant Farmington, Connecticut estate that became his most infamous purchase. This 51,000 square foot palace boasted 52 rooms, 21 bedrooms, 40 bathrooms, a nightclub, casino, squash court, and full gym, later sold to rapper 50 Cent in 2010 for $4.4 million. The dealership stories were even crazier. At Jim Chasson Motors in Las Vegas, Tyson saw a $320,000 Bentley Azure in the showroom, bought it, then ordered 4 more, running the bill to more than $1.5 million in a few minutes. The dealership usually stocked one or two and had to scramble to find the rest. That wasn't a one-off. Tyson reportedly bought about 110 cars, some for himself and some as gifts. At one Las Vegas dealership alone, he bought 20 cars. At his Ohio mansion, he kept a 1995 Rolls-Royce, a new Range Rover, a Mercedes-Benz 500, plus Lamborghinis like the Super Diablo Twin Turbo worth $180,000, and BMWs. The shopping trips were no different. At one point, the doors were shut at the Versace store in Caesar's Palace, so Tyson and his entourage could shop privately, racking up a $250,000 spree on clothes alone. Jewelry runs were just as wild. He dropped millions at high-end jewelers like Jacob the Jeweler on custom pieces, including diamond watches and a $250,000 emerald with diamond bracelet. When unpaid bills piled up to over $80,000 at the jewelers of Las Vegas, they sued him in 1998 for non-payment. Hidden costs. Jeweler lawsuits were just the start. Tyson's entourage drained millions quietly. He paid a hype man named Crocodile, famous for yelling guerrilla warfare at pressers, $300,000 for a year. His 3 white Bengal tigers, named Kenya, Storm, and Boris, cost $70,000 each up front, $200,000 yearly on food, 40 pounds of meat per day for each cat, plus $125,000 per year for a trainer. Property upkeep was brutal too. Landscaping bills hit $300,000 a year across his estates. He blew $2 million on a custom bathtub for his ex-wife Robin Givens during their short marriage, and the final divorce cost around $10 million. Ongoing costs piled up as well. Bankruptcy documents show $230,000 spent on cell phones and pagers for friends and staff between 1995 and 1997, $410,000 on a single birthday party, and $140,000 total on the Tigers beyond food and training. Advisors later claimed that promoter Don King skimmed 30%, plus extras like undercard fighter pay. Debt trap. By the late 1990s, Tyson's money problem was no longer just about spending too much. Big pieces of the purse were disappearing before the money ever reached him. On one $30 million payday, promoter Don King took $9 million, while Tyson's 2 co-managers, Rory Holloway and John Horn, took $3 million each. Holloway had been Tyson's closest friend for years and worked as an assistant manager. Horn was another longtime business figure around him. Before taxes, before old bills, before Tyson bought anything new, half the purse was already gone. The spending didn't stop amid the crisis. After the second Holyfield fight, while regulators were moving to revoke his license and fine him $3 million for the ear bite, he still showed up to buy a $300,000 Ferrari, skipping the test drive because he already owned one like it. By the time the bankruptcy filing came in 2003, the bill had become impossible to hide. Tyson owed about $13.4 million to the IRS, another $4 million to British tax authorities, and more than $600,000 to law firms. Worse, massive chunks had vanished years earlier. They were stolen by those he trusted most. Don King's cut. Don King became Tyson's promoter in 1988. He stayed his closest business advisor through prison and comeback. King grabbed far more than standard fees. He controlled Tyson's entire boxing income. On $30 million purses, King took $9 million straight off the top. Managers Rory Holloway and John Horn, lifelong friends, split another $6 million, half gone before taxes hit. King took $7 million from Tyson's 1992 comeback fight alone. He listed wife, kids, even distant relatives as consultants. Each got 6-figure checks yearly. Bankruptcy papers showed $100 million plus in deals where King allegedly defrauded Tyson through rigged contracts. By 1998, Tyson sued King for $100 million in New York federal court. He claimed years of theft from the fighter King had groomed since age 18. Tyson's new accountant demanded records after the split. His own former bookkeeper refused. "I can't hand them over because the files are in cabinets owned by Don King." The inner circle had picked Tyson clean. Collapse. By 2004, Tyson's whole financial recovery plan was built around one idea. Boxing was supposed to save him again. Court records said his bankruptcy reorganization plan expected him to fight as many as 7 times in 3 years, bring in at least $19.5 million from those purses, challenges, collect another $14 million from his lawsuit against Don King, and add about $4.2 million from home sales to help pay creditors. The monthly reality looked nothing like that. In January 2004, Tyson earned just $38.38. His living expenses for that same month were more than $407,000. By then, the mansions were gone. Tyson said his houses had been sold or seized, and he was down to one car, a white Hummer, which still was not fully paid off. The drop in lifestyle was brutal. Tyson said he was living in a friend's modest two-bedroom house near downtown Phoenix. The giant payroll that had once surrounded him had almost disappeared too. Reporting at the time said he was down to just 4 people on payroll: Shelley Finkel, Freddie Roach, and 2 cornermen. The mindset lingered. And even that low point did not fully change the way he thought about money. Tyson still talked like 2 more big purses could wipe everything out. He said that if he owed $30 million or $40 million, he could pay it with 2 fights. That had been the Tyson pattern for years. One disaster would pile up, then another giant check would arrive and keep the whole thing moving. But this time, the boxing rescue failed. Danny Williams knocked Tyson out in the 4th round on July 30th, 2004. Less than a year later, Kevin McBride beat him again on June 11, 2005, and Tyson quit on the stool after the 6th round. The houses were gone, the giant entourage was gone, and the fights were no longer big enough or easy enough to clean up the damage. Second life. Tyson did not rebuild through boxing. He rebuilt by selling his story, his personality, and his name. In 2008, the documentary Tyson premiered at Cannes and helped bring him back into public view in a different form. In 2009, he played himself in The Hangover, and the cameo became one of the movie's most remembered scenes. It gave Tyson a new audience that had little connection to the old heavyweight run. He pushed that even further on stage. Mike Tyson, Undisputed Truth, opened as a one-man show, then became an HBO special directed by Spike Lee in 2013. Tyson was no longer selling the old aura of invincibility. He was selling the whole story instead: prison, fame, money, and the rise and fall of his life and career. Then came a business that actually stuck. Hot Boxing with Mike Tyson launched as a long-form interview show and built a large audience online with guests from boxing, sports, music, comedy, and business. That mattered because it showed Tyson could still draw people in without a fight attached to his name. He did not need another comeback purse. He could sit down, talk, and still be worth watching. That was the real second life. Tyson stopped depending on boxing to rescue him and started making money from being Mike Tyson in other forms. For the first time in years, his success no longer depended on him stepping into the ring again.